61 through 68. She might try bothering to read it. But, this comment by AOC just added to the growing list of stupefying remarks by her. This one truly mind-boggling. The very word racketeering in its acronym conjures up serious criminality. But, this is a pattern with AOC. Whenever she opens her mouth, she tends to embarrass herself with a fundamental lack of knowledge.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem sounding the alarm at a congressional hearing about the Chinese government purchasing farmland in the U.S., saying this will only lead to disastrous consequences if it isn't addressed.
We should be alarmed at the amount of influence that they have in this country. They unleashed a pandemic and a virus on the world at the exact same time they released TikTok to make it proliferate and go out there and influence our youth and people to make them think that threats like that are funny. When they do that, they will control our food supply. And the country that can't feed ourselves, we are no longer in control of our destiny.
And finally, a deadline for Meta. Chris Woodward explains.
Meta is the company formerly known as Facebook, and Liberty Justice Center has given it until 5 o'clock tonight to respond to a letter on behalf of Chino Valley Unified School Board President Sonia Shaw. As we have reported on AFN, Shaw is an advocate for parental rights and has pushed for schools in her district to notify a parent or guardian when their child says he or she is of the opposite sex. Recently, members of the public who searched for Shaw's name on Facebook or Instagram received a message that said, "We think your search might be associated with child sexual abuse," and warned that searching for such material can lead to imprisonment or other severe punishments. Attorney Buck Dougherty of Liberty Justice Center.
She was obviously distraught. Any false statement published by a major company like Meta Platforms, that would be distressing to anyone. And certainly a false allegation of child sexual abuse and associating and linking someone with that horrible crime is equally, or I should say even additionally more, troubling and upsetting.
If Meta does not respond to the letter by tonight's deadline, Dougherty says the law firm will communicate internally and discuss strategy. Liberty Justice Center is also representing Chino Valley Unified School District in a lawsuit brought by California Attorney General Rob Bonta. The Attorney General wants to block the district's parental notification policy.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
Well, good day, everyone, wherever you are. I should say good evening, wherever you are, because this is Far Out with me, Nick at Night, and playing producer right now, so you know how that works, right up till the last minute. But I am ready. Looks like our stream is strong and all connections are made, so we will get on with the show. Let's see, who do we have? Darkeja and Ponte over here in the First Amendment Radio chat room, I think, yeah. So he usually has a lot to say, as long as, yeah, whatever. Have Epicus over here and with myself in the Rumble chat room, so come on over wherever you're at, and don't crowd in too fast. What can I say? All right, looks like everything's working. So let's get this show on the road, so to speak. Today, let's see, strange, I've had this channel show up in my feed for months now and only just started listening a few nights ago. I'd even given up on hearing Reformed teaching for years now. Was so blessed to be flooded at an early age in my walk. Yeah, it is a blessing to have good Reformed Bible teaching and early in your walk. I didn't get it early in my walk. I got wishy-washy Bible teaching early in my walk. I really didn't get Reformed teaching until, about the time that I started First Amendment Radio, which was about after 2003, because started doing my Bible studies on the air, and it only led me to Reformed Bible teaching. And yes, sanity, finally moved into my brain and my heart. So I always heard Reformed before, but never knew what it was or what it meant. I remember that. All I had was the Bible and a lot of wayward teachers teaching me things like dispensational eschatology and raptures and, who knows whatever. Whichever way the wind was blowing. That's the way it seemed. So yes, what a blessing it is to have good Reformed Bible teaching, theology, and eschatology too. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Anyway, thank you for that epicus in the Rumble chat room there. And let's see, Darky just says, yes, indeed. All right, well, let's take a look at the lighter side. That's always a good way to start off the broadcast, and perhaps we'll jump into some eschatology later on, a few things going on, and a present battle that I'm in, which I've been doing live on my Prophecy Reality broadcast, which I do every Wednesday morning. And I find it just too much to do 2 live programs a day. I mean, I could, but I have so much to do already that I'm already far behind in all the work that I have. Yeah. So anyway, let's look at, we might as well look at this one here. This is Babylon B. And as you know what's going around today, 9 times Trump clearly called for bloodshed. Yeah. That's what we're looking at here, 9 times. And with the world still reeling from the former President Donald Trump's brazen, horrifying, and not at all taken out of context prediction of a bloodbath if he loses in November, everything he has said in the past is now being scrutinized. Does he have a history of calling for violence? Well, the Babylon Bee is here to help us sort this thing out, right? The Babylon Bee has put together the following list of 9 other times Trump has obviously called for bloodshed. Number 1, when he told an actor to break a leg. Wishing physical pain and suffering on an innocent Hollywood entertainer is no laughing matter. Number 2, when he said the chocolate cake at Mar-a-Lago was to die for, calling all of his fanatical followers to die for his cause, of course. Yes, and don't forget about the chocolate part of the comment. All right. Number 3, and when he said he was going to crush the competition, literally announcing his plan to kill his competitors. Yeah, that's right. How dare he say things like that? Number 4, when he said he was about to blow up the bathroom. What? I have no idea where that even fits in reality. An obvious bomb threat, though. Definitely. Number 5, when Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 2, when he told Kevin McAllister, in the Home Alone 2, Oh, I did see him in there. That's right. I saw that movie. I heard they've cut it out of some versions. So, yeah, they cut him out. What a shame. When he told Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 2 that the lobby was down the hall and to the left, clearly code for genocide against the political left. Number 6, when he said the New York Jets were getting slaughtered, he obvious plan to murder the entire team. That's right, getting slaughtered, future tense. There you go. Yeah. And when he said, make America great again, this phrase harkens back to a time when there was great bloodshed, like the Civil War. And number 8, when he told Melania she looked drop dead gorgeous. Pray for that poor woman's safety. Yeah. And number 9, finally, on January 6th, when he said, you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. There's never been a more dangerous, violent state made in American history. All right, just reading through the list above, you can be traumatizing. So be careful who you share it with. And if you actually agree with any of the terrifying statements on the list, then you're likely already on an FBI watch list. Okay, that's funny too, but so, yes, indeed. Got to watch out for that bloodshed clearly coming to America. Let's see, moving on. Boeing 737 toy features wings that really fall off. Boy, that ought, I mean, you want to get that one for the Christmas tree. Before, way before Black Thursday or whatever they call it day, or Black, what do they call that day after the weekend after Christmas? I forget, but you know what I'm talking about. The big rush. You might want to put in your order early for a Boeing with wings that really fall off. It's horrible that we have to, that this is supposed to be funny, but, or that it's a real thing. Yeah, I wish wish Boeing the best, but you know, woke has endangered the flying public. Moving on here, let's see what else we got here. Oh, Pharisees accuse Jesus of threatening to capture his enemies in nets and kill them with his latest fishers of men comment. Getting a lot of life out of that, aren't they? Yeah. And let's see what else we got here. Unborn baby terrified as Olivia Rodrigo music starts playing. Oh, maybe she's a singer who glorifies abortion or something. I don't know. I'm just guessing because I don't know who Olivia Rodrigo is, except that she must be a singer. And unborn babies are terrified. Okay. So, I guess you would call that dark humor, because it's hard to laugh at something like that. But, yes, terrified babies. Yeah, how horrifying it must be to be aborted. See, city finally gets 473rd vape shop. It's so desperately needed. No, I don't. Yeah, there's probably a couple in the small town near where I'm at. And I know they just moved in a marijuana shop downtown into what used to be a real estate office. And it's called, oh, I forget what it's called. I ride by there on my bike all the time when I go into the town nearby. Let's see. So anyway, that's all the Babylon Bee has us. Well, no, actually I have yesterday's Babylon Bee too, but maybe we'll save it in case I need something. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, nobody's showing up in any of the chat rooms except me and Epicus over in the Rumble chat room. That's different. Yeah, I wonder, did my post actually go out? Yes, it did. Yeah, it went out. And so I guess we'll go back to see what else we got. Let's see. We have not to be. I'm going to start getting serious news here. Not supposed to be funny at all. Or, let's see. This video of AOC arguing with Tony Bobolinsky is what America needed. Inject this entertainment value into my veins. Man, you know, when I look at this woman, I see a teenager. I see a deadhead teenager that has not a clue what she's talking about, and advertising it as loud as she can, right? As if she has something really important to say, but she has no idea of what it is that she's saying. But it's very, very important that you listen to her loud voice. Yeah, horrifying. She's all over the place on X and wherever else, social media, because she's that good at saying nothing very loudly, or really putting her ignorance on display. Let's see, what is this? Woke doctors thought a tool that accounts for ethnic differences in kidney function was racist, so they removed it and screwed up the entire kidney transplant database. Modern medicine has known for years there are some basic physiological differences between ethnicities that require different types of health care. Is that true? I guess it is. Might be cultural differences, but I think the human body on the inside is pretty much the same, isn't it? Oh, we're all of one blood. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Remember the Indiana kid who was told to take the flag off his truck? Look what happened next. Yeah. There's a shop donated, I think this is kind of like a sticker, whole truck sticker. I don't know what they call that when they do that to a vehicle. But they turned his truck into a flag for him. Okay, let's take a moment and listen to this victory speech from Ohio Rep. Ismail Mohammed and tell me if you notice anything. This man just won Democratic primary in Ohio House of Representatives, District 3, as the incumbent. I want you to watch and tell me if you know anything about his victory speech. I don't know. Should we? What do you think, Epicus? You're the... Oh, Shelly R. is in the chat room, too. Good to see you. See, Epicus says, I'm convinced we are not dealing with stupid or incompetent people in power. That's true. They're demons released on the earth with diabolical intent and humanity. Well, and since you're reformed, you should believe that the Antichrist is alive and well and basically is ruling the world right now. As a matter of fact, yes, ruling the world, especially with his shadow government. This is like, I think the only place I know, the only network I know, the only Christian radio network, TV network that teaches Reformed eschatology, as in historicism. So you found us and you found all of it, because most of the Reformed Church today is amillennial, and which makes them idealist or something on most of the revelation, rather than historicist. But see, I believe that prophecy, God-given prophecy, is history in advance. And I believe that prophecy is unfolding in history continually. And I don't believe that God left any history out of his word. And that's why we have the revelation, because the revelation was the history in advance that would play out in history, that would unfold in history until Christ returns. And so it has been. And that's why it's written in the Revelation about the future things. It says they must shortly come to pass, of course, as to their commencement, because the things that would come first, and that would be the seals, because they were first in order. They would shortly come to pass, and they did. We have fulfillments, and we have interpretation for the fulfillments. And I believe we have good interpretations for the fulfillments. Even like the Reformation, you can find that in history. You can find the French Revolution. You can find America in history in the order that it's given. Because there is a chronology in the Revelation, and it is made up of 3 separate chronologies. The first 7 seals are followed by the 7 trumpets, which are followed by the 7 last plagues, the vials. Okay? And we are at the end now. We are in, I believe, in the era of the 7th vial. So we are real close to the end. And you can follow it all. I don't know if you're... we have Epicus, who is really new to First Amendment Radio, and he's reformed in theology, but likely, probably, has not been taught Reformed theology, Reformed eschatology, the only eschatology that came out of the Reformation, not the one that was, and was rejected by the church, by Protestants turned evangelicals, and even those that retained the Reformed name rejected historicism for counter-Reformation eschatology called dispensational futurism with a future unknown Antichrist, because they were trying to vindicate the papacy from its rightful place as the man of sin, and the Catholic Church from that great apostasy accompanying the man of sin. The greatest apostasy that the world has ever seen rose up about the 5th century and has existed to this very day. Even today, see, that's why it qualifies as the great apostasy of 2 Thessalonians chapter 4. Because it is the greatest apostasy the world has ever seen, or the world will ever see, because it's over 2 billion strong today. There's no greater... Certainly a lot of the Protestants and the independent churches are apostatizing. And of course we have those apostate denominations such as the Mormons and the Seventh-day Adventists and many others out there. The name it, claim it cults and all these other apostates are daughters of the great whore apostate. So, good to see you here, Hammer. He's even got my picture of Martin Luther. He says, true. Thank you. So, welcome to Reformed TV, Radio TV, because that's what First Amendment Radio is. It's Reformed Radio TV. Now, not all of the teachers on here are reformed in eschatology, because you have to be historicist to be reformed in eschatology. They hearken back to amillennialism. But I wrote a book about that, and it's called The Millennium Question, an apology for the Killism of the primitive church. And yes, the early church was millenarian. That's a bad word in Catholicism. They call the belief in the millennial reign of Christ, a return in millennial reign of Christ, they call that belief the millenarian heresy. Just put those 2 words in your search engine and you'll find out. The millenarian heresy. That's what they think. If you believe in a physical bodily return of Christ and his reign on the earth for 1,000 years, then you are a millenarian heretic. Welcome to the club. Because I would rather be a heretic to the Antichrist than just about anything else on earth. Yeah. Any amens to that? Let's see, I couldn't stay in the church. Okay. And we are in the very last minutes of the last hour spoken of by Jesus. There's no recovering from this. Yeah, I would agree that it's not going back to what was normal in America. I mean, we've had a blessed couple centuries, and that is because of the prophecy being fulfilled, the gospel angels going through the heavens. Okay, that was fulfilled in the missionary. We had 2 missionary centuries. After the Antichrist, after the Antichrist church received its near deadly head wound, okay, and lost its place as ruling after 1,260 years of ruling Western Europe, then the gospel started being spread first from Protestant England in the 19th century, and America joined into 20th century, sending out missionaries. So we've had 2 missionary, and the missionaries continue to this day, except they're now going back and forth from some of them are even coming to America because they're needed here. But we had 2 missionary centuries. I believe that was a fulfillment of the prophecy about the angels flying through heaven, spreading the everlasting gospel of peace. That happened for 200 years, full on, okay? And we are getting near the end now. But I would suggest getting E.B. Elliott's Hori Apocalyptica and reading that. I'll give you a link to that when we come back, or I'll put it in the chat room during the break. Okay, hey, I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Secrets of the Rapture. Is there a 500-year-old conspiracy? A propaganda machine so pervasive and entrenched, yet so elusive that the entire world could be taken in by it, working in plain sight, but unseen by the world for what it truly is? If prophecy is God-given history in advance, why does the prophecy that has conquered the age also exclude nearly 2,000 years of history? What is it that they are afraid that the light of history will reveal? To understand our place in time and prophecy, we must look in history for an interpretation, that which stands the test of time, that which agrees with the Word of God, and history has proven to be true. When cunning fables and fearful speculations are removed from our sight, then we may clearly see what is truly expressed in Bible prophecy, both that which has been fulfilled and that which has yet to come. God's express word is the sword that must be wielded to remove the scales from the eyes and dispel the darkness of deceitful conjecture. Secrets of the Rapture was written to expose that which the spirit of the age has conjured out of the darkness to blind the eyes of the church in the world today. Secrets of the Rapture, Deconstructing Pre-Tribulation Dispensational Futurism by yours truly, Nicholas Arthur, is now available at lulu.com and Amazon. Secrets of the Rapture.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. if some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Okay, I am back, and I put that link to the Hori Apocalypticae, probably the best resource out there for the most exhaustive resource out there on the Revelation, and it's free there. You know, I published it there on this WordPress, HoriApocalypticae.wordpress.com, and you'll see all 4 volumes are there. And this is an updated edition that I did in 2018. I call it the Reformation Quincentennial edition of it. And I brought it up to date somewhat. But then again, I did it again in last year I finished another update because it really, I knew how much more work it needed than I did in 2018. And I brought it up to date, and that's available if someone wanted to buy it. But this is the 2018. It brings you up pretty close, but I haven't updated this since then, 2018. But it's all very good. But if someone wanted to buy it, all 4 volumes are available on Amazon, and with the cover you see here on the page right by my face, the 4 volumes. If you click on that, it'll take you to this page here, where you can order them off of Amazon. You can also get them at Lulu Press, but they have the old cover, but on the inside they're the same book with the newest edition, so with the 21st century edition instead of the 2018 edition that I did for the quincentennial celebration. It was quite a work, and I've done the first 3 volumes are available in Audible. I still haven't done the 4th volume in Audible yet, but I do plan on doing it likely through this summer. I just have a lot of work on my plate. That's the way that is. Okay, so do take advantage of that, Epicus and anyone else who's not familiar with Reformed eschatology, the only eschatology that came out of the Reformation. Amillennialism, that came out of counter-Reformation, but all of the counter-Reformation eschatology was not made for Catholics, because Catholics don't believe in it, okay? They don't believe in it at all. They do believe in amillennialism, but their amillennialism is the Pope ruling on the earth as he is now, only him getting a hold of the whole earth. And he's working really hard at it, so much so that he thinks he already has all the money power. That's where all the money, that's why it's all fiat usury currency, because Satan took over the Satan, through the Antichrist and his shadow government, or the Vatican bankers, otherwise known as the Rothschild bankers, and, the banking cabals and all that stuff. It's really the Antichrist behind the scenes. See, because he learned his lesson, because he openly ruled for 1,260 years, and he was openly rebelled against and punished about the time of the French Revolution, and lost almost everything at that time. Lost almost everything, but didn't lose everything. And then they came up with a plan. Well, they had a plan. The plan was already in the works to stealthily, with intrigue, take over all the governments of the world. And that plan continued even after the overt rule of the papacy fell. Okay? And that's why the Bible says in the prophecy that the deadly head wound would be healed, and it has been healed. And I pinpoint that too in the prophecy. As a matter of fact, you can find that in Volume 3, Chapter 9 of the Hore Apocalypticae, if you really want to catch up to today. Let's see, I have it here. Let's go to the top here. I'm on Volume 1, go to Volume 3, and go scroll down to chapter, I believe it's Chapter 9. Yes, Chapter 9, Rise of the Two-Horned Earth Beasts. And that brings you up to where I believe the era where the seventh vial, although I don't write that in this volume, I mean in this edition, but it still covers the same era. I believe that the seventh vial was poured out and began with the 40 Years' War era that we call World War I and World War II, during which the Antichrist, the papacy, and the Vatican, the head wound was healed, okay? And the image of the beast was constructed, okay? Through which the Antichrist vicariously rules the world. Also, the Antichrist vicariously rules America through Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, if you read F. Tupper Saucy's Rulers of Evil, you can find out how the Antichrist rules Washington, D.C. You can't buy a copy. Well, you could buy a copy of that book, but it would cost you $600 or $700. That's right. But you can get the PDF for free if you go to my website, crosstheborder.org. Press on the Bible study tab there, and you'll see I have all my Bible studies and pages and stuff, but you'll see a little area that says links down here at the bottom. The very bottom link is Rulers of Evil, F. Tupper Saucy. There's the book. And you can read the whole thing in a PDF file, F. Tupper Saucy's Rulers of Evil. So you should take advantage of that. As a matter of fact, I'll put it in the chat room right now for everybody. So you don't even have to go to my website. But I would like you to go to my website if you haven't yet, and make sure that you subscribe there. Maybe I make things too easy for people. But here we go. Paste that there. We'll paste it in the Rumble chat room and all of the chat rooms here. Do one, do all. Okay, I'm only doing YouTube First Amendment Radio chat room, Rumble First Amendment Radio chat room, and the actual First Amendment Radio chat room. If I had to have all the other chat rooms up that we have, yeah, it'd be it's almost too much as it is. Okay, let's see. Fairfax in the chat room here says, Nicholas, do you know about the Foursquare Church? No, what about it? I've heard of the Foursquare Church. I'm not sure what they are or what the Foursquare stands for. Maybe you could tell me, and then I'll know. Are they Reformed? I'm having a feeling they're not, or maybe they are. I don't know. Don't know anything about them. Let's see. Self-published to PDF at cost. Keep hard copy until we have access to I can't read. This stupid chat room puts these bubbles right in front of it. Oh, there. Until we lose access to DARPA's internet. Self-published to PDF. Which PDF? Oh. Okay. So anyway, there it is. It's not my book. I didn't write Rulers of Evil. That's F. Tupper Saucy wrote it. But I think the book is great. I thoroughly recommend it. Except for, let's see. I have an exception. Oh, here it is. Except for the Mark of Cain. The chapter on the Mark of Cain. I don't go along with that. There's a spiritual message there, but the mark of Cain cannot be a real thing because Cain and his descendants did not live through the flood. Okay, now there may be the spirit of Cain out there, definitely a spirit of Cain, but not the actual Cain himself. Yeah. Genetic modification is the last 2 chapters. I don't remember the 2 ministries thing either. And, but I do remember from the mark of Cain on, I didn't care much for the book. So, I mean, I didn't care much for the last 2 chapters. So I would likely agree with that. But other than that, there's a lot to be gleaned, and it gives you a different perspective on the con in the Constitution was the concentration of power in Washington, D.C. That should never have happened. And I believe that was the Antichrist doing through their Jesuit general shadow government. What's his name? Ricci. So definitely there it is. You've got the PDF. Take the time to read it and learn. Okay, what else have we got? Any more comments, questions? It's a very suspicious book to begin with. The papal imperator seal is on the first few pages. What is it? Yeah, well, there are people. Is this Osprey Bookmakers? Is that it? What are you talking about? What's on the first few seals? See for yourself. Okay, I'm looking at it, and I don't know what this imperator you're talking about is. The papal imperator seal is on the first few pages. Well, I'm looking for it, but I don't know what it is I'm looking for. Okay, the few pages. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is. He said it's on the first few pages. I don't see anything that's the same on the first couple pages. No, keep going, he says. Okay, it's not the first few pages then. Forward. Okay, what page is that on? Okay. Rulers of evil. Subliminal Rome. Okay, see, I'm lost. You can't tell me I'm on page, okay, Apostolic, whatever. Yes. Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. Unless this is it here. We have a picture of Constantine and some other Roman stuff here in a Roman coin. I'm sure a sketch of Mithras, he says, a stone carving. Mithras was Sol Invictus, the unconquerable sun, an imperial Roman god. So he's exposing things with pictures. Okay, and here's a picture of Rome versus the scripture. So I'll need to find it myself. It's not as if we can vet the PDF copy for authenticity, unfortunately. Well, this is the first edition. I have an actual copy of the book, so and it's not different. Okay. Now, there was a second edition that was done by one of the big publishers. The first edition was this Osprey publishing house that you see in the beginning of this book, this being the first edition. The second edition was done by one of the major publishing houses, and when he died, they have refused to republish or continue publishing it since then. And that's why you can't buy it today. But I was looking on Amazon just the other day, and for the first time, I saw that it is available in Kindle. So I haven't looked at the Kindle edition, and I think it's like, I don't know what it is for Kindle, Rulers of Evil. But yeah, check it out. Genetic modification says, I found it. Okay, well, where is it? He says, uh-oh, I found it. I'll check my archives. And yeah, well, you can text it to me if it's on your phone. Here's my text number right here. You can text me pictures too. So while I'm on the air or any time at all, my text is always up over here on the First Amendment Radio computer screen. So page 2, read the bottom text. Okay, page 2. All right, let me go to page 2. Okay, this is page X. Okay, that's not 2. And I'm trying to get to page 2 here. Chapter 1, page 1, chapter 2, page 2. It says, I read the bottom text. Okay, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. I found it, page 2. Yeah, it's not on the copy I have. But there's no missing pages. This is the first edition. All the pages are numbered. There's no missing pages. So maybe the edition that was done, the second edition with the different cover, maybe that one, with not this cover, but with the black cover, maybe it was different. So, yeah, if you could take a picture of that with your phone and text it to me, then I would know what you're talking about. Page 2, top left corner. Oh, really have to do that again? Page 2, top left corner. Okay, we're chapter 5. Whoops, I went too far. I'll look for it one more time. Page 2. Is that Roman numeral 2 or page 2? Okay. Okay, here I am, page 2. It says top left corner. There's nothing in the top left corner. It says I'm using the same link. Is that Roman numeral 2 or page 2? Because here's page 2. Right here. This is page 2. It says this is page 2. Chapter 1, subliminal role, for page 2. So, unless you mean Roman numeral 2, which is the front matter of the book. Okay, let me look at page 2, Roman numeral 2. Okay, wait a minute. There's 9. I'm tired of scrolling already. Nope, I got nothing, man. I don't know what. Yeah, I looked at page 2. There's nothing there. I don't know what you're looking at. You say it's the same link? Unless you're looking at the PDF page 2. Those are different. So let me go to page 2 of the PDF instead of page 2 of the book. Yeah, there's nothing here. It says Osprey Bookmakers. There's a picture of a bird. So I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, it's the bird. The PDF page 2. Oh, okay. Well, there's a bird there. Is that it? And what is that supposed to be? Keep reading. It says nothing on page 2. It says Rulers of Evil, F. Tupper Saucy. The Order of St. Simon. It says Osprey Bookmakers, Imperator of the Order of St. Simon Peter, Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, well, what does that mean? Okay. All that looking for a bird. You could have just said bird. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know. I looked up Osprey. I looked up Bookmaker to see if I could find out who has the rights, since F. Tupper Saucy is dead, about republishing or publishing the book again. But I couldn't find any information. I just found that it belongs to a major publishing house now, that he's dead and they're not publishing it. So what does that mean for me, genetic modification? It's obscure as your nomenclature. Yeah. the order of Simon Peter. Well, better than the order of Simon Pater, okay? Because Simon Peter was actually one of the apostles, but he was never the first pope of Rome. The first pope of Rome was Simon the sorcerer, also known as Father Simon, or Simon Pater in Latin. Pater for father, of course. And that's how they mixed it up, and they decided Simon Peter, Simon Pater, why don't we just adopt Simon Peter of the Bible instead of Simon, Father Simon the sorcerer of Rome? Of course, he originally is from, where's he from originally? Yeah. Okay, escapes my mind. Everybody already knows. Okay, thank God the understanding he gave me, it has sustained me and always will, says Epicus in the chat room over there. And okay, I've said enough about the book. Yeah, Spain. Yeah. No, the Simon Peter wasn't from Spain. He was Simon the sorcerer from from Palestine. A Samaritan. He was a Samaritan, yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. He wasn't the good Samaritan. He was the bad Samaritan. I just made up another name for Simon the sorcerer, the bad Samaritan. Because Jesus talked about the good Samaritan. So, there's you're suspicious of it, okay? Yeah, it's a subtle connection to Rome. Well, I don't know. See, I'd have to talk to, it might have been something that, what's his name? F. Tupper Sauce, he came up with himself for his own publishing company, because I looked for it and it doesn't exist anymore. I tried to talk to the Peter Fleming Agency and couldn't find them either. And the only thing I found is when I got one of the other editions, which I don't have with me here, and found out that it belongs to one of the larger publishing houses. Let's see, if we go over to, let's go over to Amazon and look in books. Oops, books. Where's B for books? And look up Rulers of Evil. I put rulers up. I expect evil to come up, but it doesn't. Evil, like rules of estrangement. They even have their search engine omitting it so far. They have for rulers of evil. It comes up rules of estrangement. But I know it's there. There it is, Rulers of Evil book. Yeah. And see, this is the cover, right, that belongs to the publishing house. Let me go over there and take a look. 74 5-star ratings, 4.4 on Goodreads, 328 pages, English. HarperCollins, that's who owns it. And Kindle, $7.99. I don't know when it went up because it wasn't there before. You can buy a hardcover for $599. Yeah, and I believe that would be used. Let me click on it and see where it takes me. Oh, other used and collectibles. Is that new? Hardcover? Oh, they're really selling it. HarperCollins is selling it for $599. Wow. And this is the second edition. The one that went to HarperCollins somehow got, probably one of his, when he died, somebody sold the rights to HarperCollins. I bet you the Jesuits snapped it up, probably gave him a couple $1 million for it. And they said, oh, well, whatever, go ahead. I don't know what happened there. And then they just killed it. but now they're selling it for $599. That's for a new cover, or you can get it on Kindle for $7.99. That's bizarre. Isn't that bizarre? Yeah. Typing anti-Catholic in eBay search engine yields many fascinating discoveries, which was unsurprising to me personally. Yeah. Anti-Catholic in eBay search engine. Yeah, I even found some people selling my books on there that don't have rights to sell them. Some of the books that I have publishing rights to, on eBay. I'm going, how are they offering a new one of this when they never bought it from me? I know I'm not getting any royalties when they sell something on eBay. So, yeah, all kinds of lost material. So I guess some of my stuff's already lost. Yeah, funny stuff. So anyway, read Rulers of Evil. You can get it on Kindle if you're a Kindle reader for $7.99, or you can get the PDF. The links in the chat room or at my website on the Bible, in the Bible Studies tab. You'll find it at the very bottom. F. Tupper Saucy's Rulers of Evil, a must read for anyone living in America today or anywhere in the world, really. Yeah. So, okay, well, that killed an hour talking about that, but we have more to talk about. So, don't go anywhere. I will be right back after some messages, a little walk, and a coffee break.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on satellite, internet, or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Arthur, and I'd like to introduce you to my latest book, Reformed Prophecy Interpretation, an apology for Reformed premillennial historicism in the 21st century. As with primitive biblical Christianity, historicism is the method of prophecy interpretation restored with the advent of the Protestant Reformation, and had become so widely held that for a long time it was called the Protestant view. My book is not so much about the errors of dispensationalism or amillennialism. Rather, it is about the historicist alternative to understanding many of the same passages from the vantage point of prophecy fulfilled in history. For those that desire more than mere hypotheses, bolstered with conjectured speculation, those who require explicit biblical exegesis and verified historical fulfillment, and are not willing to accept speculation as anything other than what it is. Speculation, not truth. This book is for you. Over the last century, this method of interpretation has become almost completely forgotten, even by Protestants, in the face of a method that is based almost entirely on future speculation, rather than fulfilled prophecy in history. In my book, I examine the reasons for this and investigate some of the prophecy which has been fulfilled in the interim, as well as present an apology for Reformed premillennial historicism to the 21st century. If you're interested in a copy of my book, you can go to my website, crosstheborder.org, and get more information there. Or you may also find it at Amazon. I'm back. Yes. Let's see. Are you a bot? No, I'm not a bot. I'm really on the air live right now talking to you. Let's see. Hug Drew Nurse. Huge hugs. Hugs are, I can't say that. That's your moniker has a nurse on the end of it. No, I'm not a bot. I'm really here. Anyway, I just put that link there in the chat room for Epicus. So, because we were talking about Simon Peter versus Simon the sorcerer, or Father Simon, the first pope, the true first pope of Rome was Simon, was Father Simon, or in Latin it would be Simon Pater. Otherwise known as Father Simon, not Simon Peter. But they made the switcheroo a few hundred years later, and they made up the patrimony of St. Peter and turned him into the first pope because Simon Magus wasn't a good story to tell. So they had to come up with something different. Yeah. So Simon Peter did go to Rome and start his own Christian church after he left the apostles there. And it's all history. It's written there for you, so you can check it out for yourself. And by the 5th century, it became a great apostasy with a man of sin, and it's been roaring ever since. That's right. Okay, what were we doing? Oh, yes, we were talking about, rulers of evil, last one. If you go to our First Amendment Radio homepage on Rumble, and you go to the playlist there, you'll see Rulers of Evil right up here in the middle and the top. Tom Fress narrated it, I think about 2010 or 12, and I just replayed the whole thing and put it on Rumble. It's 35 or 34 segments there, but one of them is doubled, and I haven't figured out which one was put up twice, so I didn't go through it. So if you listen to it and you find the one that's double, let me know so I can delete it and fix the numbering. But it's all there. The whole series is 34 videos, and it's there. So you don't have to read it yourself. You can listen to the series on your device when you're at work, wherever, driving in your car, whatever it takes, you can do that on your smartphone. And that way you don't have to read the book yourself. Sounds like we're like-minded Christian folks. Well, I hope so. We're pretty much Reformed Christian here. That's what it's about. We hearken back to the Reformation. So, and yeah. You're welcome. Okay, who else do we have? Genetic Modification in the other chat room, doing all the talking in the YouTube chat room. Guess, yeah, he's the only one talking over there. The Hammer's in that chat room, but just listening, I'm guessing. And you, that's me. Well, I finally became you in my chat room. I don't know how that happened. It restarted the browser and lost my settings. So now I have to fix it so that I am not you anymore. I am me, or I'm FAR, First Amendment Radio. We'll keep it that way. Yes. And, it didn't change it. Huh. Oh. Yeah, I wonder why. Let me try that again. Oh, there, it did change it. Okay, moving on then. Let's move on to something else. Let's see what in the world else is going on here. I had a couple things. I was looking at this thing here, and this is from Redacted News. Squatters taking over Americans' homes by the thousands. And this guy's on TikTok. He's got 300,000 or 200,000 listeners. And he says, hey, everybody, let's all go to America. He says, I'm starting a new business in America. First of all, Catholic Charities will give me, or UN, or one of those NGO groups that's getting American money, will get us a plane ticket and fly us into any city we want to go to in America. And there, all we have to do is find an empty home and then squat in it, And I guess they can just look up homes for rent or homes for lease, or go to Airbnb, squat in the home, and then when the people come and they tell you to get it, no, we're squatting here. We have squatters' rights. And that's the state of our courts today. And that is the breakdown of our property rights. Part of the Communist Manifesto is the destruction of property rights. Yes, everyone's going to own everything. And if you're not using your house, you go away for the weekend or for a month, or if your parents die and leave their house to you, you better. And I wouldn't put my house for rent now in the paper. And I don't know about these rental agencies that rent your houses for you. What are they going to do? Yeah, what are they going to do if someone's in your house? And it ain't going to be their problem. It's going to be your problem. So, because they're going to advertise your house for rent. You can't even advertise your house for rent now, because they'll be watching the ads to take over houses. And so there's been thousands of homes. And I was listening to these guys here, the Morrises, and they had the same problem too. That was one of the problems that I had about 15 years ago when I was being attacked on the ground. Some people had squatted on my land, and not in my house though, but on my land, and they would not get off. They called the police on me, and even after they moved, and they would pay someone to stay on my property in a trailer, or in a trailer that they had there. They paid someone to stay there, and then if I tried to get them off or get them out or anything, they'd call these other people. They'd come running over with the police, the sheriff's department, and I couldn't get them off my property. Couldn't. It took me 7 years in the courts. 7 years. These guys said it took them 2 years. They were lucky. And so I'm thinking, that's how the law is now. You can't let anybody in your property. You need someone to watch your home to make sure no one takes it over while you're gone on vacation or for a month. If your parents die, you better get someone in the house right away. Yeah. And I don't know, they're unethical people. You can't even rent a house out anymore. You got to be afraid somebody's going to just stop paying rent, because that's happening a lot too. Just stop paying rent and squat in your house and take you 5 months, 10 months, a year, a couple of years to get them out. Yeah, it's crazy. There needs to be a change in the laws. I'll tell you that much, because this stuff ain't gonna fly. People are gonna start dying. I was thinking, man, someone tried to move my house. I don't know, man. They should be afraid for their life, because, yeah. No, because I ain't going to live with those strangers in my house. First of all, they're thieves and robbers. They definitely have ill intent. if they're moving in your house. So you got to be careful these days. Watch out, people. It's a real thing, and it can cost you thousands of dollars, and bring a lot of stress into your life. So that's something we got to look out for, especially with Joe Biden bringing in over 10, 12 million people in the last 3.5 years into this country, and already having a housing shortage. Okay, so, and it's probably going to bring in another 5 or 10 million before the election, because they're working really hard. They're going as fast as they can. They know their time is running out for destruction of America. They think maybe if they can get 30 or 40,000 ill intent people in America, that it'll help destroy America. Yeah. And of course, they're all profiting every which way you turn. That's the truth. See. They alter DNA to transplant pig hearts and kidneys to humans by tweaking 89 genomes to reduce rejection antigens. Yeah, that's what you really need, is a pig's heart, right? Speaking of casting your pearls before swine, well, swine represents people that are unregenerate. So I don't know, did Jesus die for people with pig hearts? I don't think so. Really, think about that. If you're not fully human, did Jesus die for you? I don't know. Did Jesus die for transgenders? I don't know. It starts to get questionable here, doesn't it? Makes you think, makes you wonder. So, but I'll leave all those questions up to the Almighty. I'm sure he's got it all sorted out. Yeah, the rebellion just gets worse and worse as time goes on. All right, well, let's get back to some of our news items. Speaking of redacted news here, let's move over to and see what they have to say. Let's see. These days is for a new trend these days is for kids to be sniffing nutmeg. Really? Nutmeg? To get high, because it does have narcotic and hallucinogenic properties. That's dangerous and dumb, kids. Don't do that. I didn't know that. I like nutmeg for baking. You know, it's great in puddings and cakes and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the chat room. Looks like somebody's retracting their messages over there in the chat room. Just looks funny. All right. So, yeah. In case you missed it, Idaho has killed a bill to prevent the National Guard from being deployed unless Congress declares war. We spoke to the bill founder and redacted on Tuesday. Yeah, I heard about that. Why would Idaho kill the bill to prevent National Guard from being deployed unless Congress declares a war? They shouldn't. I mean, you don't really need a bill to say, no, we're not going to, because a state would just say, well, no, we're not deploying unless Congress declares war, because the only wars that are lawful are the ones that Congress declares. So if it's not a lawful war, it's one of the Antichrist wars. Because the Antichrist has been using America's military, especially since World War II, for its own purposes, through the UN and all of its, yeah. We're fighting Antichrist or Catholic wars. Not the Catholic people. Most Catholic people don't have a clue at the things I'm talking about, or even who the Antichrist is, or that their Pope is the Antichrist. They don't have a clue. Yeah. They believe, that most of them believe, or at least partially believe, the Counter-Reformation eschatology. Let's see. Epica says, problem is people are allowing the authorities to trash what our forefathers developed. Yes, and all of these so-called authorities, are all being paid to trash America. They're all selling out because the Antichrist has all the digital money that he can conjure up. That's what's really going. That's why the national debt is, that's why they're spending $1 trillion every 90 days now, every 3 months, because they figured out, well, we have an endless supply of money. We can print all we want because they're only digits on a computer. So they're paying everybody off. They can corrupt. Most people on earth can be corrupted by money, and they are. That's what's going on in Washington, D.C. That's why the Antichrist wanted central power in Washington, D.C. Then the next thing they wanted to do was take over the bank. It took them no time. It took them a few years to centralize power. Then it took them over 100 years to centralize our bank and get it in their hands. But they were trying for that whole 100 years to get a central bank in America. Central bank, central power in Washington, D.C., they got everything they wanted. And so they just kept biding their time. And now they're pulling out all the stops. But it doesn't really work. Corrupting people really doesn't work because you can't trust corrupted people. So all the Antichrist has is a whole bunch of people they can't trust because they're all bought and paid for. Yeah. Okay. A new study suggests that e-cigs can cause cancer. The press is calling this shocking. Shocking. I'm shocked. Is it though? Those cartridges contain formaldehyde. Yeah, I don't know. I don't do any vaping or e-cigs. I don't do drugs and I don't smoke. Yeah. The only thing I smoke is the barbecue meat, the barbecue. Let's see. The press has found yet another royal photo was altered. They are doing this to actually avoid looking for Kate Middleton. So the Kate Middleton thing's going on, still continuing. Newark Airport invested $2.7 billion to stop being such a hellhole, and surprisingly, it worked. The new terminal won a 5-star rating from Skytrax. $2.7 billion renovation. Well, that ought to do something, huh? All right, gold is down. It's only $121.55. It's about the same. Just up or down a few dollars or a few pennies. Doesn't make much difference. Silver's about the same. Bitcoin is still ridiculously, insanely, way overpriced from what used to be just worth pennies once. See, now gold never went from pennies to 2,000. It at least started out at $35 or $20 actually. If you go back to the beginning of the country, an ounce of gold was $20, but $20 was a lot of money. That's why they divided a dollar into, 100 pennies, because you could buy something with a penny. A penny was worth something, but now a penny is worth nothing. It's worth less than a dollar was 100 years ago. Yeah, pretty much. About the same, maybe, but yeah. Let's see. Okay, so next, let's see what else we got. Lead. I can't hear you. Let's say President Biden is standing down to Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Earlier this week, President agreed with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Netanyahu is an obstacle, but now the president has assured the Israeli leader that he didn't mean it. Okay. He didn't mean it, huh? Yes, indeed. The U.S. has repeatedly asked Israel not to invade the southern city of Gaza, Rafah, but Israel is pretending not to hear that too. A delegation of officials will travel to Washington this week to discuss the planned invasion. And I made it clear as possible to the president that we are determined to complete the elimination of these battalions in Rafah, and there is no way to do this without a ground incursion, Netanyahu said to members of the Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee. Yes. And I've told you all I'm not taking a part or a side in this war. You have two ungodly factions fighting it out. Unfortunately, a lot of people and a lot of innocent people are suffering. And war is always a sad affair. But God is not unaware of what's going on. Yes, he is not unaware. So I leave it in his capable hands. Because I am powerless. And me giving an opinion one way or another is worthless, honestly. Yes, stop thinking so highly of yourself and your opinion. It's really worthless and makes no difference at all. The best thing you can do is pray for both people, especially God's people on both sides. Moving on. Intermittent fasting. I agree with intermittent fasting. I've been practicing it for 40 years. Yes. And I think it has really added to my health at my prime age. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Virtually cleanse, says genetic. It's not just genetic modification, but virtual modification. Guess you have to be in the YouTube chat room to understand that one. Oh, he's moved over to the YouTube chat room now. This life is so soon finished. Really bad things are unfolding in the U.S., which will impact the whole world shortly. Very few people see it or are even willing to see it when told. Yeah, most people just want to live their lives. They don't want to look at it, the bad stuff. And then you have the young people, they think it's always been this way. They don't know that we had liberty and stuff. They weren't taught the Constitution in grade school or high school even. Yeah. And so if you don't know what you got, how are you going to miss it when it's gone? I guess the old song, you don't know what you got till it's gone. That's another way of looking at things. Epicus, we are living in a mutant world order now. All that remains is the finishing touches of whom will be the final beast pope, whether Jesuit Pope Bergoglio or another. Well, it will likely be another because Bergoglio is pretty much hanging on by a thread from what I hear. So, yeah. And we have time for another. Yeah. No, the return of Christ is not imminent because there are several things in prophecy that still remain to be fulfilled. So it's not imminent. The rapture is not imminent because the pre-tribulation rapture that comes 7 years before the return of Christ is a fantasy. It's part of counter-reformation eschatology and an end-time antichrist because it was built upon the end-time antichrist eschatology of Francisco Ribera. Yeah. So, which goes back even further than that. It goes back to the 2nd century, actually. It was actually the thesis or the cornerstone of the thesis was proposed by Irenaeus, unfortunately. Yeah, by Irenaeus. It never went anywhere because people saw the problems with it immediately, like, the 70th week having to follow the 69th week made it impossible. So, real problem from the beginning. But not a problem now. They just decided, well, we're going to add to the scripture. Finally, we found some people with some guts. They decided they could add a gap into Daniel's 70th week between the 69th and the 70th week. Not a problem today. They're not worried about the plagues that will be added to them for adding to the Word of God. That's right. So, not a problem. Was a problem for 1900 years. But finally, they've overcome the problem. So just put gaps. We put gaps in Genesis, which most of the dispensationalists don't believe it, but they believe their gap is holy. The Genesis gap is not. That's right. So they're choosing their gaps. Yes. Covenant theology, huh? Okay, well, not falling for Jesuit Pope Bergoglio, foddy-doddy theatrical deception necklace. Yeah. Well, theatrical. What's the deception part? I mean, I see what's going on. He says, line up and take your shots, people. Yeah, he wants you dead. And if they could, they would start burning heretics at the stake again. They just can't get away with it. But they have their ways of killing people otherwise, you know. Some of them they have implemented recently too. But, you know, every genocide over the last couple 100 years, guess who's behind it? Yes, if you dig deep, you'll find the Antichrist and his shadow operatives there instigating every single one of them, even if they number into the number like 20 million, 50 million, 10 million. Just throw your million or your 100,000s in there and you'll know who's behind it. The scripture tells us who's behind it. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. We get another break and I need it.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on satellite, internet, or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Okay, I am back and checking out the chat room. I guess Fairfax says, do you know anything about the Foursquare Church? And I said, no, but maybe you could tell me something, but don't know anything about the Foursquare Church. I think I've looked into covenant theology before, but I don't remember what it was exactly. I know what the promises of God for the elect are, and that's all the covenant I need is His Word. So I don't need fancy names or doctrines for it. I just, I read the Word and I see the doctrine that is there, and that's good enough for me. And I also hugs us nurse. I don't know how you say that in the chat room over there. So I wasted 45 years of my life as a Catholic to appease my parents. Now I'm a Christian with 10 times more knowledge than catechism ever taught. I know I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church. As a matter of fact, I was captive because I was an orphan. I was put in Catholic homes and Catholic foster homes. So a Catholic boys' home with being taught by friars for most of my childhood. And I didn't even know God had a son. I mean, that's what Jesus, I didn't know that was God's son, or didn't know God had a son. Didn't know He died for me. I saw, it all meant nothing to me. That nothing penetrated. And I think that was a good thing, though. It was like I had this shield around me, protecting me from the doctrine that was there, that it was like a huge blank for the first 19 years of my life. It was all meaningless to me, I did nothing, none of the Catholicism penetrated me. I didn't want to pray to any statues. I saw nothing attractive about any of it at any time. Like I said, it was just a total blank. I was living in my own world. Yeah. Let's see, what do you got? Jesuit Hollywood, huh? Yes, well, we have forever now. Yes, well, was the first 19 of my years of life a waste? Well, no, I had to grow up and I had to go through what I went through, so I wouldn't exactly call it a waste because it couldn't have been any other way. It was what it was. So, I'm sure you learned a lot, even if you learned nothing. You learned that you learned nothing. But like I said, I can sympathize with your experience there. But for 19 years, and then when I got the Bible on my own and I read it, it was like reading another language. I had no one to mentor me. There was no discipling for me. It's kind of like I was wandering around on my own with a Bible, going to Calvary Chapel, and then they teach a works type of salvation. At the same time, they don't, because they believe it's up to you if you get saved. That you have to agree to be saved. And I come to find out, no, I don't. I mean, God chose me, and if I choose him, it's because he made me to choose him. So it's all God is. He's the first. He's the everything. It all belongs to him. I didn't choose him. He chose me. It isn't because I decided or because someone prayed a prayer or said or led me through a sinner's prayer. I know that's happened more than once to when I was young, as a young Christian. That I had people pray over me and lay hands on me, but none of them, mentored me. Here I was, an orphan. I mean, what did they think? I didn't even have a home. I had no parents. What did they think was going to happen to me? Well, they didn't. They didn't care. They gave me a Bible. They cared that much anyway. And I began reading it. And I had an encounter, with God Almighty. I mean, I didn't see him face to face or anything, but I know that I met him and that he adopted me into his family, as I was. I wasn't good enough, certainly, because there was no change in me. And I even got worse because I had, like I said, I had no mentoring. I had no discipling. No one said, I'm going to disciple this young man and get him on the right road. No, none of that. There was no discipling going on anywhere. That's what's sorely lacking in our society today is discipling. It's very much needed in the churches, and especially under circumstances like where the circumstances I grew up in, or really anywhere. If you're coming out of a home, a Catholic home, you need discipling. So, and that's what the church is supposed to be for. But you can't even find a church to go to today. The closest Lutheran or Episcopalian or one of these Protestant church to me has women pastors. I'm not going there. I can't support that. I don't see how. It's just like everything in me says, no, don't go there. And then I went to another a Baptist church. They don't call themselves Reformed, but their theology is Reformed anyway. At least more Reformed than most. But I'm not accepted there because I don't believe in a pre-trib rapture, so I'm shunned. So I quit going there. The same with the one before that and the one before that. And I go to others, they have hard rock concerts that they open their show with every Sunday or whenever they meet. They have a hard rock show, big concert. I don't want to go to a concert. I want to sing old-time hymns and even some praise and worship songs are fine with me. But, as long as they're biblically aligned, and a lot of them are, these rock concerts, and they have the group up there, and I don't want to see them. I want to see God's people, and I want to fellowship with them, and I want to hear God's people sing, and I want to be one of them. I don't want to go and watch the concert on the stage. So it's very difficult in the time that we live in. I know there's Grace Church down in, what's his name, John MacArthur's church. At least they're theologically correct, but eschatologically, I would likely be shunned there too. Maybe not. Since it's such a big church, I could probably find a couple dozen people that are Reformed in their eschatology too, instead of counter-Reformed, because that's what the end-time Antichrist eschatology is all about, with its pre-tribulation rapture and all that 70th week of Daniel being future. That's all end-time Antichrist, counter-Reformation eschatology to deflect and vindicate the papacy from being the seat of the Antichrist. That's what it is. Let's see. Hugs us, nurse. You got to tell me how to give me some pronunciation on that, because I don't know if your name is Hugh, or if is your name Hugh? Hugh. Okay. It says, when I was a kid, Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew books were page turners for kids. Now pushing 70, I really can't go a day without reading at least a few pages. So many questions still. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I've already pushed 70, so I'm beyond that and still kicking as hard as I can. And I can't go a day without reading. Yeah, it's good. Reading's a good habit to get into. I didn't read when I was a kid. Well, I guess I did. I did, mostly comic books. Unfortunately, that's what they gave you when you were in the Catholic boys' home. They gave you comic books. We played ping pong and smoked cigarettes. Yes, and the priests gave us, the fathers or the brothers or whatever, the friars gave us cigarettes to smoke. We had a smoking room. And I was 14. Yeah, I remember when they you had to be 14 or 13 or 14 to smoke in the boys' home. Yeah, can you believe it? So we had a pool hall with ping pong tables and a smoking room. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Rumble doesn't allow for spaces in user pseudonyms, Nicholas. Was just clarifying your name for Nick. Okay, I don't know what that means. Oh. Your name is Hugh. I guess. Is that right? Or are you saying yes to something else? Hugs are us, nurse. That's I don't know. That sounds like a what do you call it? Kamala Harris word salad. Sorry. Read what I wrote before. Okay. Oh, yes, you could call in. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting to my last 15 minutes. It's been fun just talking back and forth and killing time here. I love it. It's I feel like, we're building a camaraderie here. And that's really the point of Nick at Night. This is nothing serious. Just fellowshipping and talking back and forth, kicking ideas around, answering questions for each other, learning about each other. Because I've never told anybody that I smoked cigarettes in a boys' home, at boys' Catholic home. I've never said that over the air before. So you can learn things. And, okay, well, let's see if the phone actually works. Your name and where you're calling from? And then we have our ghost caller, who never misses a show. Well, rarely misses a show. Sometimes he calls in 2 or 3 times during a show and says absolutely nothing. So, got to fix that somehow. That's why you usually have a producer to take the calls first, to screen your calls. Epica says, I go to church and talk about Jesus, and they hate me for it, so I don't go. I know, isn't that weird? You're going to church, you think, man, these people should be madly in love with Jesus like me, I mean, living every day for him, and like he's the top of my mind. He's the first thing in my mind, and the first everything, in everything I do. There's nothing more important to me than Jesus. That's it. Yes, I guess that's where I guess we're just, as they say, Jesus freaks to the world. That's right. That's what we are. We're outcasts. Rumble doesn't allow for spaces in username pseudonyms. Yeah, I get that. I already know that. None of them do. But you can do dashes or, hugs are us, nurse. Yeah. Okay. So is your name Hugh? That's what I was saying. My work is a passion and a calling, never a job. So I'm guessing you are a nurse. I guess that much. And what's your name? Is your name Hugh? No, it's not. Because I know men that are nurses. So I don't know if you're a female or a male. I know a married couple. They're both nurses. They're in-laws of mine. Let's see. You would think they would like to know what I think, who this stranger in their church is. Yeah, it's bizarre. Bizarre days we live in. Okay. Let's see what else I have here. Intermittent fasting. It's something I've been practicing for, since my 40s, basically. Well, actually earlier than that, because I learned when I was 30 that I decided to cut my diet in half because I was still eating like a teenager, and I hadn't got fat yet, so. But I saw a lot of people were getting fat. I thought, if I keep eating like this, I'm probably going to get fat too. So I decided to cut my diet in half. And then in my 40s, I started intermittent fasting. And how I did that was I didn't eat breakfast unless I was doing physical labor. If I did physical labor, I had to eat something. So I would eat breakfast. But when I stopped doing physical labor as my work, for the most part, I stopped eating breakfast. And so I started fasting until noon and beyond. And I just keep going. And I still do. Sometimes I don't eat till noon or something. Or even later. Sometimes I don't eat until 3 in the afternoon. So my fasting period becomes longer and longer. So I think the longer you can fast every day and have your breakfast, at noon, at least you're going and don't eat after, say, I make a limit to when I can eat. I don't eat after, say, 8 o'clock. That way I can go 12 hours till 8 a.m. and add 4 to that. That means I've gone half the day, 12 hours, without eating anything. And that gives your digestive tract a rest and time to clean and rebuild and rejuvenate instead of being always full. Yeah. So it's a very healthy thing to do. So intermittent fasting is a thing, and everyone should be practicing it. And you can start it at any time. You just say you have your cutoff time in the evening, and you just try to extend that, especially if you're our age, we know you're not out there doing physical labor, and I do sometimes. It's like Wednesday morning, I do a broadcast at 9 o'clock. I have to have something before I go on the air. Otherwise, I get low blood sugar. That's dangerous, too. You don't want to do that. That can be bad for your health. So you want to avoid that because you can do a lot of damage if you allow. It's because it takes a lot of energy to just talk on the air for 2 hours for some reason. So I would start getting lightheaded. I would go, I can't do that. So I got to eat something. And so I do. So intermittent fasting, something if you want to extend your life or have a better life as you get older, it will really help you. Yeah, help you out, I think. At least it works for me. Okay, I get Epicus telling me what hugs are us nurse. But I'm wondering, why is Nick freaking over hugs are us nurse? I don't know. I don't know if that's a sentence. I'm not freaking out over it. I'm just kind of wondering what your name is and whether you're a male or a female. It's because you're a nurse. Because I don't want to refer to you. I don't want to misgender you. It's easy to do if just you have these names, monikers in the chat room, and you can't tell who's what. So I'm sure if I saw you in person, I wouldn't misgender you. At least I hope not. Nobody can come to faith in the truth of God unless God opens their eyes, and it's truly a miracle. Yes, he calls us, God calls. The miracle, he paid a price. Yeah, for our sins. There was no miracle for him. He had to pay the price. Life itself is a miracle. Creation is miraculous. Yeah. Okay. Genetic modification says he's having tremendous difficulty, not unusual for him. Are you talking about me? Okay. Well, I'll be guilty of having tremendous difficulties. See, I found most Pentecostal folks to be most welcoming. You mean I have to go to a Pentecostal church? Well, at least they'll be alive, right? Or at least they act alive. Are they jumping over pews still and dancing in the aisles? Yeah. When I was a teenager in Detroit, going to the black churches was very lively and really fun. But I grew up in Detroit. After I left the Catholic homes, I ended up in Detroit. It was a different time then. Detroit was like one of the had the highest capita per income per capita in the nation at the time. So Detroit was booming when I was there. So let's see. Even so, that price is foolishness to those who have not been. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. The price. Yeah, the whole cross is foolishness, and preaching the cross is foolishness to those that are not regenerated by God's Holy Spirit. It's all him. He gets all the credit. And I know I didn't choose him in the beginning. Yeah. Because there was no me choosing him to begin with. I know that. I was reading that book, though. And he put it in my hands. He made me curious. And when I read it and he spoke to me through it, and he let me know that he was adopting me, because here I was, this orphan boy, never knew anything about God, reading a King James Bible, walking down the road, and then having a spiritual meeting. God's Holy Spirit filled me. And I felt the Father speaking to me and telling me that he was going to adopt me. And I said, yes. I mean, I didn't even say yes. I just accepted it. I mean, it's like, man, he knew that I needed a father my whole life. And here, finally, I met the Father. Can you imagine that? Being fatherless and meeting the Father and him adopting you. I mean, that changed my life. I'll never forget that day as long as I live. And I only asked God for one thing. I only asked the Father for one thing on the side of that road, because I had a brother and a sister. And I said to him, I want my brother and my sister to know you too. That was my only prayer upon meeting the Father. First, accepting the adoption. Of course, I couldn't refuse it. I mean, I was made to accept it. And all I thought of then was my brother and my sister. And I said, I want my brother and my sister to know you too. That was my only request. And then within 3 years, both my brothers and my sister came to me telling me about Christ. My brother was in the Navy at the time. And when he got out of the Navy, he used his scholarship, because they offered you a scholarship. He used his scholarship to go to Bible college, to go to a Bible college in Sacramento. And I haven't seen him most of my life. For whatever reason I don't know, that we are separated. And my sister died in 85 at the young age of 35. But she was very much alive in the spirit. And we had a great fellowship in the Lord, and a bond that we never had as siblings when we were children. Of course, she was 7 years older than me too. And I am out of time. Well, thank you all for showing up today. Glad we got to know each other a little bit more. At least you got to know more about me. But I would like to know more about you in the days to come. So keep coming back. I'll be here most nights, not every night, but most nights, for Nick at Night on First Amendment Radio. So may the Almighty bless each and every one of you as you travel the narrow way that leads to life. I'll see you next time.
Secrets of the Rapture. Is there a 500-year-old conspiracy? A propaganda machine so pervasive and entrenched, yet so elusive that the entire world could be taken in by it, working in plain sight, but unseen by the world for what it truly is? If prophecy is God-given history in advance, why does the prophecy that has conquered the age also exclude nearly 2,000 years of history? What is it that they are afraid that the light of history will reveal? To understand our place in time and prophecy, we must look in history for an interpretation, that which stands the test of time, that which agrees with the Word of God, and history has proven to be true. When cunning fables and fearful speculations are removed from our sight, then we may clearly see what is truly expressed in Bible prophecy, both that which has been fulfilled and that which has yet to come. God's express word is the sword that must be wielded to remove the scales from the eyes and dispel the darkness of deceitful conjecture. Secrets of the Rapture was written to expose that which the spirit of the age has conjured out of the darkness to blind the eyes of the church in the world today. Secrets of the Rapture, deconstructing pre-tribulation.
American Family News. I'm